She was downloading her camera and deleting calls to save space when she noticed the background. This is a photo in a series of photos taken in quick succession by my MID of my daughter, her only grandchild. Only my MID the photographer, my daughter and the yippingest ass dog on earth that barked at everything were in the house. MID claims to have experienced and seen strange things like faces in windows not reachable from the ground, smells of cologne or cigarette. I'm very in tune with my spirituality, not totally by choice, it's just something I've learned to live with. My parents told me something weird happened yesterday, and now my mom is freaking out. My parents are believers but don't actively participate/experience. The morning after that night, my dad said he woke up in the morning alone in the house. It was a small, ceramic angel figurine that has been sitting in a window in a different room for months untouched. I had an extreme falling out with a friend who was manipulative, secretive and extremely reluctant for me to know anything about her. She started telling me she was selling her body and made stores and tried to lure me to her house to have sex. Back then I didn't understand why she was expelled, but at that moment I thought back to the first and only time we hung outside of school, when she found my account and urged me to leave and not come into her house. She even used Find My iPhone, but it only showed that it was somewhere in her apartment. We heard my sister come home, but she never did yesterday. Something really strange happened to my mom and my sister, and I honestly don't know if it was just a coincidence or some kind of glitch in the matrix. She clearly heard my sister come in, the front door opening, the keys jingling, the sound of her purse and jacket being dropped on the chair. One day, no doubt in a drab grey office somewhere, a water slide designer passed over a host of bright and marvellous colours, only to choose brown. Then nothing screams fun like brown asterisk, right? I watched a kid vanish inside a water slide. I wish I never went looking for her. There were 4 children queuing to go down the water slide. Wait, I said, showing my palm to a little girl with pink goggles. A squeal burst through her lips as she waited for the red light to go green. Just wait there, I repeated, watching the kid who'd gone before get spat into the pool below. Okay, sitting up or lying on your back, don't go head first. The girl skipped forward and sat shaking with excitement in front of the jets that poured water down the lazy coil of the slide. Over the yawning mouth of the covered plastic chute, a sign emphasizes that this slide is not by any stretch of the imagination for thrill seekers. Then asterisk take IT easy on the Zambezi. Asterisk the light went green, and before I could say anything, the girl scooted herself over the lip, down the slide, and around the bend, the shrill warble of her scream making me wince. And next, I said, massaging the area around my right ear. A little boy with a streak of dried snot below both nostrils waddled forwards, and on my signal, he gripped the bar, hurled himself into the chute, and flipped onto his belly. Turn over, I said, but it was too late. I stood up to see him plunge into the pool in a graceless backward sprawl. The lifeguard down on poolside gave me a thumbs up, letting me know he was uninjured, and I let my gaze linger for a moment as she pulled her heel up onto the chair with 2 manicured hands. Turning back around, I lectured the penultimate child in the queue, a pale girl with hair, so blonde it was almost white. Yeah, don't do that. Okay. Sitting up or lying on your back only. I'm not trying to be a killjoy, I'm trying to keep you safe. That's my job. The girl's eyes never met mine. Instead, she looked into the shadows of the Zambezi, which are made thick and soupy by the colour of the plastic and opaque brown. Are you ready? I asked the pale girl, but her eyes seemed far away, like she was sleepwalking. Then there was no fidgeting, then no giggling, so no cheekiness, even. She looked duty-bound to go down the slide. With one serene push, she entered the chute, gliding around the bend. I waited for her to pop out at the bottom, using the opportunity to look at the lifeguard again, but her tan skin, but her air of indifference. Something about the new lifeguard was magnetic to me, then bewitching, yet she met my eye, then frowned, yet looked away, so glanced up again, then curled her lip in disgust. So what? She mouthed. I was staring at her, and stopped staring, and stop it. Has the girl left the slide yet? I shouted down, but the lifeguard didn't hear me, so I scanned the empty splash zone. Had the girl landed and climbed out while I'd been gawking at my colleague? Surely I hadn't been distracted for that long. I checked the cameras only to see a steady stream of water rushing along the bottom of the chute, and the girl was nowhere to be seen. Can I go yet? Asked the boy who was last in line. Yeah, I suppose, I said, distracted and in disbelief. The boy went down the slide, and I tracked his progress and the cameras all the way to the bottom. He climbed out of the pool and trotted towards the changing rooms as the lifeguard climbed down from her perch. I'd half expected him to plough into the girl on his way down, but he showed no sign of his trip on the slide being anything other than routine. I shut down the camera feed and the water jets from the control panel. Furthermore, I locked the gate behind me and set about hosing plasters and hairballs into gutters by the walkway. With everything squared away, I switched off the lights, but a sound prevented me from heading out to the foyer, yet a thud, so from inside the Zambezi. Hello? I said, my voice echoing across the tops of folding chairs in the viewing gallery to the back wall some 80 meters distant. All I heard was the steady dripping of a tap, a sound very much in the realm of the ordinary at the swimming pool, and that thud, however, was not. I strode along the poolside, taking care not to slip, especially because it was pitch dark. The only illumination came from fire exit signs above doors. A grim scenario entered my mind where I'd fall, bang my head and slide unconscious into the water beneath the pool cover. Even if I came to my senses, I'd have to struggle fully clothed against its smothering weight. So hello? Anyone there? I called out from the bottom of the stairs leading up to the Zambezi's mouth, yet no reply. But that creaking thud had to be her, right? I'd seen that little girl go down the slide, and I swear I had. I unlocked the gate and climbed up, crouching at the entrance to the slide itself, listening to a faint pulsing and a quiet heaving. It was the sound of a dying man breathing through a respirator at the opposite end of a hospital corridor, so slow, yet weak, but helpless. The thought of a scared little girl somehow trapped in the slide made me step forward into its narrow dry throat. It was a squeeze, but I could just about navigate my way around the bend. Then here, I truly left the light behind. All focus now switched to what I could hear. My footsteps knocked hollow against plastic as I groped forwards, and my breathing quickened, yet I started sweating. A fingernail from the cold hand of claustrophobia tickled my neck, so my eyes bulged in their sockets. As I began to question what I was doing, I heard it. A voice, soft and song-like, echoed all around me. Then have you come to rescue me? Yes. But yes, I have. Where are you? Why did you come? Because it's my job, and now, come on, let's get you out of here and back to you grown up. Then you wouldn't have come if it wasn't your duty. No, I would have, the liar, shouted the voice, suddenly venomous. The slide trembled in tandem with the outburst, and I fell back onto my haunches in shock. It didn't feel like I was talking to a little girl anymore, but when the voice spoke again, it was once more sombered. I like you. Thanks. Do you like me? Yes. We're friends then, I suppose. One of the best things about friendship is the gifts friends give each other. I love gifts. There was no obvious response I could conjure at that moment, but despite the pressing darkness, I felt watched, but perceived. And there was something expectant about that regard. I reached into the pocket of my shorts and rummaged for a half-empty pack of chewing gum. I held it out in front of me on a flat palm. You can have this if you like. The tiny packet was snatched from me and replaced with a different item. Then thank you. Then, and it's freely offered. Then this gift. Of course, have you given me a gift too? I said, gulping, then the voice was chewing now. But oh, that. Then yeah, give it to that lifeguard you want to fuck. It's an exact replica of the yellow tulip on the front of the diary she writes in every night. Flushing, my hand closed around the stem, and I felt my way up to the petals. The thing in the slide with me was most definitely not a child, and nobody knew I wanted to do that apart from me. But the asterisk wasn't the only thing I wanted, yet I'm not like other guys. You don't need to breathe like a hunted thing, friend. She's repulsed by you anyway. They're repulsed, almost everyone is. You're a jot above worthless. I thought back to the ugly look the lifeguard had given me when I'd stared at her, and was it true? What about you? She doesn't want to fuck you. La la la, she doesn't want to fuck you. La la la. So she doesn't want to fuck you, then luck you. Sang the voice, and I don't want to fuck her, but you didn't answer my question. Oh, yet so what do you want to do to her? Nothing so grandiose and treacherous as love her, I hope. I bit my lip. You didn't answer my question, I said after a moment. And what do you believe I am? Then a scared little girl. No, so I thought you were, and now the Zambezi creaked again. The source of the sound was somewhere ahead of me. A rush of warm air wafted against my face as the breathing I'd heard as I entered the slide returned, so it was louder now and closer, so hungrier. Do you believe I'm real? The mouth that spoke those words couldn't have been more than an inch from the tip of my nose. Its pitch had deepened, but behind the menace I sensed a vulnerability. It was as though the thing needed my validation to exist. Smelling its hot, putrid breath and hearing the plastic groan as whatever was in the chute with me moved around, I very much believed it was real. So, and I almost said so, yet almost. No, but I came in here to help a little girl I thought was stuck. It seems I was mistaken, but I'm going to keep searching anyway. 30 long seconds went by, and a minute, so 2. I'll help you, the voice said, and the creaking in the slide advanced towards me, yet no. I'll be fine, thanks, I squeaked as the presence barged through and past me and out the top of the slide. Then the air inside the chute cooled, so the charge in the air dissipated. My goosebumps settled, but then I heard a quick buzz followed by a swishing, sloshing sound. I screamed as my feet were swept from under me and the back of my head crashed against the bottom of the chute. I felt myself sliding around and around and around until the bottom of the Zambezi was no longer flush to my back. Furthermore, I was airborne for a split second, and then I was underwater for an eternity. Submerged in the splash zone with my trainers somehow higher than my head, I fought to right myself. Twisting around, I felt the sting of water rushing into my nostrils and realized I was facing the surface. Pushing off the pool floor with one foot, I opened my lungs to receive a full breath, but only managed to fill them with chlorinated water as the pool cover battered me back down. Underwater, I retched, swallowed more water, and forced my eyes open in search of the side of the pool. If I could get there, I could pull myself out at the edge of the cover, but where was it? Splotches danced across my vision to the tune of a throbbing ring in my ears, growing in volume with every heartbeat, but time was running out. I couldn't see any walls, and was about to pick a direction blindly before I realized what I could see. The dim outline of tiles beneath my feet. I swiveled in a frantic circle and spotted a tile, half cracked and half chipped, where countless children had planted their feet after the Zambas ejected them. From here, I knew the wall was somewhere to my right. I darted for it and erupted through that small gap between the pool cover and the walkway, spluttering and dragging in what air I could. Panting and drenched, I hauled myself up and sprinted headlong out of there, not bothering to lock the doors to the centre behind me, but a rush, yet wise decision, I think. I looked at the CCTV monitor at the end of the hallway and saw the cave running up the stairs and grabbing each one by the shoulder. I had never told this story before, but it's been so long now that I felt the need to get it off my chest. Furthermore, I looked at the door and a moment later I see the door locked but no one comes back down. Furthermore, I heard a very low voice speaking over the music that played around the store. We dumped our phones in a neighbour's pool and jumped into Adam's car. Then Jay, his boyfriend, sat in the back. I thought my boyfriend was cheating on me then, but it was so much worse. But I lay awake then for him. But don't think about it. Yet don't think about it. Yet don't think about it. Birds were singing, yet I pressed my pillow over my face. Morning, babe, I mumbled into lavender-scented sheets. 3 days since I caught him kissing Kai, yet don't think about it, and don't think about it, and don't think about it. Jed groaned into his pillows in response, a streak of annoyance in his tone. Part of me wondered if he'd have that tone if Kai were in his arms. I squeezed my eyes shut, suffocating myself inside lavender until I was choking on it and I couldn't control my voice. I couldn't control the sting in my eyes or the lump in my throat, and fuck. Furthermore, I pressed harder until I was sure, if I continued to apply pressure, I would lose consciousness, and it wasn't anger I was feeling. If I was angry, I would throw the pillow at the wall, so no, I wasn't angry. I was aware I was gripping the pillow, my fingernails scrunched up in its material. Then I was curious. A jet. I said again, unable to stop my tone hardening. I sensed movement before his warm arms found my waist, his lips brushing my shoulder in a kiss, but he sighed, deep and heavy. Maybe it was an I don't love you anymore sigh. My mind drifted back to the day before and the pool party. I was ashamed of showing him off to all my friends. I'd left Jet to mingle with the crowd, and when I returned, 2 strawberry martinis in hand, it was just in time to see him making out with Kai Denver. The two of them swayed to the beat, bathed in neon light, their hands finding each other slowly, hesitantly, as I watched. I tried to push it out of my head, to snap back to the present, but the memory festered like curdled milk. Kai grabbed Jet's shirt collar and pulled him closer. They stood out in the crowd, Jet's thick brown hair clashing with Kai's sandy blonde. Kai's hands cupped his cheeks, eyes half-lidded, lips cracking into a teasing smile. His lips found my boyfriend's in a very slow, very real kiss, which, to my confusion, deepened. The two of them were lost in the crowd, in each other. I was sure if I hadn't made my presence known with a sharp cough, the two would have disappeared upstairs. They sprang apart the moment they saw me. Jet turned with a wide smile, a slow, spreading blush blossoming across his cheeks, and Kai was slower. His hands lingered, deliberately, still clutching my boyfriend's shirt collar. Even with his own girlfriend standing just a few feet away, so Kai started it, I kept telling myself, and I couldn't deny Jet's grin. The way he leaned in again, hungry, almost desperate, his fingers threading, entangled in sandy blonde curls, so stop. I exhaled into my pillow, trying to banish the image of the two of them wrapped around each other, moving in sync, turned smiles and sparkling eyes, like the two of them fit. Jet had looked at me like that, right? Yet yes, of course he had. Then don't think about it, and don't think about it. Jet, I said, louder, exhaling into my pillow, so its forearm is Sybil, Jet sighed. His body moved against mine, but it felt heavy, wrong, his legs tangled around me, clammy with sweat, but we didn't have sex, and maybe he was thinking about Kai. Maybe he'd gotten too excited, but the pool is the perfect temperature. Do you want to stay in bed? I felt his breath tickle my neck as he rolled onto his side. I could sense the teasing smile curving on his lips. Or go for a dip? There's nothing worse than the feeling of doubt in the ones you love, the ones you give yourself to, so in sickness and in health. but till death do us part. Always and forever. Yet I had already rehearsed my wedding speech, and I had yet to be proposed to then, but I knew it was coming. We had been dating for almost 2 years, so he was my best friend, my soulmate. We'd known each other since we were kids, so it was inevitable, right? So high school sweethearts. Furthermore, we bought our own house at 23, a cute suburban home with a white picket fence, but our very own American dream, yet but why? I smothered the bad thoughts, rolled over, and kissed him. He kissed back, half asleep, eyes still shut, smiling, so like he loved me, then like he wasn't thinking about a boy. I noticed he was slow, his hands barely cradling my face. He kissed Kai with confidence, like he was used to him, like he knew his face, every crease in his jaw, lips that somehow knew every part of him. He kissed Kai with a smile I had never seen before. I waited for him to cup my cheeks, to hold me like I mattered. Chet just let out a deep exhale and buried his head in the pillow. After a full minute of staring at the clock on the wall, drowning in what-ifs, I finally sat up. Let's go out. I slipped out of bed, my legs unsteady, like I was walking on air. I dressed quickly, dragged a comb through my hair, and grabbed my phone by 4:30, but I could wait an hour. When Jet didn't respond, still wrapped in blankets, I dove into our closet and grabbed a dress. Get up, I said, tossing clothes onto the bed and ignoring his groan of protest. The more awake and alert I was, the darker my thoughts grew, yet he was smiling in his sleep, but I thought it was because of *me**. When there was no movement from our bed, I pulled off my sock and threw it at him. In pure Jet fashion, he buried his head in his arms. Did you just throw a sock at me? He mumbled, yet I ignored him. Come on, it's a beautiful day. I yanked open the curtains, flooding the room with light. The sky was a pre-dawn crystalline blue, the birds were singing their annoying fucking songs, and my boyfriend was thinking about a boy. When he didn't respond again, I grew impatient, grabbing my jacket and flinging it on. So Jet, get up. He sprang up, diving out of bed, so sorry. I handed him clean clothes. He dressed quickly, throwing on a shirt and stumbling into his pants, and Jet's style was my style. I chose all his clothes, his shoes, even his hairstylist. It was summer, so for him, I went with a loose tee and cargo shorts. I couldn't resist running my fingers through his hair, stretching up onto my toes to peck him on the cheek. He stood over me at 6 foot something, effortlessly flawless, but Jet's smile was sleepy but cautious, so his eyes followed mine. Tawny brown, just the way I like them. But it was the way he looked at Kai, but there was no real warmth, no spark. Instead of wrapping around me, his arms stayed at his sides. He slowly inclined his head, reminding me of when we were kids, and he would use the puppy dog eyes to swindle candy from me. Where are we going? I handed him his shoes, and he took them uncertainly. Just that. Jet followed me all the way downstairs and straight out the door into the already sweltering heat. I was glad I was wearing a dress. He slid into my car and immediately switched on the radio. It's April, it's Forum. I shrugged, starting up the car. It's a nice day. The car ride was undeniably tense. Jet stared out the window, watching early morning traffic blur past, his dark brown hair set alight by orange streaks of sunrise bleeding through the glass. He was traditionally handsome, sculpted jawline, perfect eyes, cheekbones to die for. I was lucky to have scored someone like Jet. Somehow I knew he was thinking about Kai, but about their kiss. About how to break it to me gently. Asterisk, I love someone else, a civil asterisk, his big brown eyes were screaming, but which could only mean one thing, and I was sweating, and my thighs clung to the leather seats. My breath was stuck in my throat, and fuck. I found my voice, the words that had been suffocating me, when Jet switched off the radio and turned to me like he knew I was drowning, choking on the words dangled on my tongue. Jet, I said, keeping my gaze on the road, but do you remember Adam? Jet frowned. Adam? It had been 1350 days since I lost my best friend. When I was 18, I craved perfection in a partner. I had grown up at the dawn of evolving technology, the ability to transform yourself into something asterisk more asterisk. Dad died when I was 5, and Mom brought home Leo the next day, and they had been together ever since. Their relationship made me believe in true perfection, the perfect human for me. I wanted the perfect jawline, the perfect hair, so it didn't end with looks, yet I wanted a personality that shined. I didn't expect them to laugh at my jokes, I wanted them to laugh at their own, at themselves. But I also wanted them to be pretentious and a little rude. I wanted a guy who would gladly step on me, but someone dizzy asterisk and asterisk intelligent, and I was yet to find him. Don't even get me started on my high school standards. I came to realize my asterisk perfect asterisk boy was in fact my best friend. Adam, the boy next door, the boy who didn't know I existed, so romantically at least. I had known Adam since we were little kids, pulling faces at each other to our windows. The problem was, our parents hated each other. Adam's mom made the mistake of asking if Leo was Mom's real boyfriend, so I was given strict orders to stay away, but he kept appearing at his window. At first, I was shy, hiding behind my curtains while Adam played peekaboo with his. I liked the twinkle in his eye, the way he giggled when I told him to go away. I would draw my curtains and peek through, which made him laugh. As we grew up, I found myself edging closer to my bedroom window, finding comfort in his presence, yet at school, we were strangers. Adam hung out with gross boys who blew boogers out of their nose. One night after dinner, I scribbled, "Do you want to play?" on my notepad, and he surprised me with a grin. Yes, sir. We started swapping notes and talking for hours each night after school. I started opening my window, leaning out to chat with him. One evening, he introduced me to his entire stuffed animal collection, so of course I had to introduce him to mine, and before long, Adam grew brave. He showed up at our front door, a mess of brown coals, freckles, and scarlet cheeks. When Mom tried to shoo him away, he held up a crumpled scrap of paper, a capitalized plea in red crayon. "Please, please, please, can I play with Izzy?" When Mom didn't respond, he quickly added, "You look very pretty, Mrs. Kane." Mom sighed and rolled her eyes, but she was fighting a smirk. "I'm flattered, Adam." Adam's eyes lit up, so he grinned, jumping up and down. "So, Izzy can play. They do what you want," she grumbled, turning away from us. "And tell your mother to learn some manners, young man." When Mom slammed the door on us, Adam turned to me, giggling, yet his smile was contagious. We grew up together, and my stomach started to flutter whenever he smiled, yet puberty slammed into me. He said every creak of the floor, every movement outside made him jump, so the man never came back, and the narration the night the man was standing in our kitchen. This isn't my story, and it's my dad's. He told me about it years ago, and I've never forgotten it. He said the house felt private, but also lonely. It had a lot of glass windows, and my dad could barely speak. He stayed up quietly and walked to the kitchen to see a man standing there.